So there are a lot of flagship phones coming out around this time, if not newly being announced, all a little over $1,000 or even around $1,500. So can another phone do it for half the price? TCL seems to think so. What's going on, guys? This is Remy with Level 1 News, and this isn't going to be a typical review of the TCL 10 Pro, which is the phone that we are discussing today, but more so what's the comparison between this phone and other Android phones possibly in this category, and even probably a little bit higher than that. Before we start our review, I just want to mention that we are doing a giveaway for the phone. We already gave one away, and thanks to everybody that sort of participated and joined in on the journey, we're doing another one. It might not be our last either, but to get into this giveaway, watch our review. At the end of the video, you'll see how you can enter and be a part of it. Exterior wise, it's not the traditional Android phone kind of wear. While the Galaxy has most of its buttons flush to the left with one power button on the right, this models its design a little bit more the way Pixel does, where most of its buttons are to its right with one Google Assistant button to its left. With that dedicated Google Assistant button, we found that it was helpful for most things, but there are times in use that you'll end up hitting the button once in a while. So disabling it is an option if you need that. Now this sports a 6.47-inch AMOLED display with HDR10 capabilities. While, I think that images looked pretty crisp when we were looking at it, watching Netflix and stuff and other things, there was a slight tint to it, and the overall screen brightness wasn't too high. So I wouldn't expect this to be in really, really bright settings when you're outside. But otherwise, I think it did a fairly decent job at that. The fingerprint sensor compared to other phones, this one I think ended up being active around 0.8 seconds. While something like the Samsung Galaxy is like a 0.2 second before you get into the phone. I think anything under 1 second, for the normal user, you wouldn't notice. So this falls in line with a lot of the categories of other phones at the fingerprint sensor. There wasn't hit or miss on this. I will say that with the screen size of the display, you're actually getting a lot of screen real estate from edge to edge. With that said, obviously photos and stuff like that is where you want to take the most advantage. Netflix obviously crops, but there are games that, or images in general, that when it's full size, it actually looks really good on it. Now this sports a 64 megapixel camera, and the more notable note on the actual camera design is that it's flush in the actual device itself, which is not a normal thing when you compare it to something like all the iPhones, 11 Pro in general, and then even other phones like the Galaxy and stuff when it's protruding. So this was a nice kind of different design with two flash modules at the end, not 100% why, but it's there. So we liked that aspect. With that being said, the overall image quality when it came to taking pictures and video was a little above average, nothing too overwhelmingly well in that category. Now this isn't doing 4K and 60 frames per second. Hell, it's not even doing 1080p and 60 frames a second, but it is doing 4K 30 frames with video stabilization, so that's good. But there are some features missing across the board when it comes to taking videos and taking even some images. There is a pro mode which will let you kind of change the ISO settings, focus, saturation, and stuff like that, so you can play around with just a pretty good image. And I think, if you really mess with it, then you can get along the lines of some of these other smartphones. Now this has a Snapdragon 675 with 120GB hard drive and 6GB of RAM. Nothing insane here, but we felt like we tried to play a few games, and I actually thought it ran relatively well for what it was. I was able to put things from high to very high when we were playing like Call of Duty and stuff, and it ran pretty smooth. So you'll get some decent performance out of this. While this isn't a gaming phone, I thought that it did well for that. And with the 120GB internal hard drive, you also do have a micro SD slot, so it lets you upgrade in storage space if you need it, so plenty in there. I say where it does above average with things is with the 4500 milliamp battery. You're getting a solid charge out of this. I think 30 minutes will give you a good decent amount of hours and then obviously just using it on the day to day. You'll get a day's use when you're using it normally, which we found that to be pretty good. It runs a bit of its own software overlay when it comes to, you know, the own Android, but it's not really intrusive at all, and you can kind of dumb that down to just have a straight Android iOS to play with. So we thought that ran relatively smooth. You're not getting crazy performances again, so you know, doing too many tasks at once or doing way more than what it should probably be doing, you'll start to see a little bit of stutter and things kind of boggling down. We'd say overall it has an executive look and feel to this. You know, we were a little surprised for a phone that was $450 that it can look pretty sleek. It looks more in the end of a flagship phone title being in that $1,000 mark than it is a phone that's half of that price, if not lower, with deals. We weren't too keen on the photos and the videos that it took overall. I feel like the 4K 30, you know, the actual video images is decent. You know, you'll be able to get pretty decent shots with that. Phone was kind of lacking in certain areas. In the Pro mode, you can get it into a decent space where then it would look pretty well, but that also requires a bit of work. But for the price, you're getting, you know, something that has relatively good battery life, decent overall performance that can do some gaming, and is pretty stylish. And for the price, you can't go wrong with this. So to enter the giveaway, the information for that is below. You're gonna want to enter officially there. Definitely like and subscribe. Comment below on what would be the first thing you would be doing with the phone if you got it, whether it be taking certain pictures, doing certain gaming, or just overall need a new phone to use on the day-to-day use. Let us know. It'll be a part of the giveaway, the official giveaway entries itself. Look out for other videos as well. I definitely have Easter egg codes that will give you more entries as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like and subscribe. Anyway, we're giving you more reviews, more content, more things that you like. This is Remy with LVLONE News. Take care, guys.